Hello and welcome to the IABM TV's discussion on training and skills for the broadcast industry. I want to thank all of you for coming along to represent your companies and the training operations that your companies have here. So I've just introduced myself. Julian, do you want to...
Yeah, my name's Jason Plews. I'm Global Director of Education for AVID.
Paul Cameron from Sony.
My name is Florian Rettich from ARI.
Okay, and thanks again for coming here. Okay, so you've told us your names and the companies and training operations you represent. Tell us just a little bit about those operations. Florian.
Well, I'm doing training courses for a kind of new part of ARI, which is called the ARI Academy. We're going to talk about maybe the details a bit later, but we're doing mostly training on our products, workflows, and also general information how to use the gear. And we do that since 2016.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And Paul?
Well, I've been with Sony now for more years than I care to remember, to be honest. And we run training courses on Sony products, their associated and background technologies, right across the board, from craft and operation through the technology, through to the kind of administration and service for our products.
And Jason, what about AVID?
Yeah, I thought I'd have a quick look at how many courses we do offer, and I stopped counting at 80, so it's a pretty extensive range of courses covering user, system admin, and technical, which we call our program of ACSR courses. And our courses are offered a mixture of online, remote delivered, live instructor, face-to-face, traditional. Courses are delivered directly by AVID or through our partner network. And we also round off our education with certification aligned to our curriculum. So we have user, system admin and technical certifications, which helps us not only validate the skills that have been learned in the training, but also helps us elevate the skills across our customer base.
Yeah, thanks very much. And education, that leads me on to a question. Certification. The IABM gives certification for its training courses to say you've attended them, and we've recently wrapped up our certification that's based on skills and testing. Do any of your other operations, Sony or ARI, do certification and testing of people?
We certainly do certificates to say that people have attended the course, and we have done measured courses certification and to say whether somebody has met a certain accredited level of skills. We do that quite often through, well, most of the time now, through our knowledge portal. We have a training portal where we run e-learning courses, and we also have tests on there where people can run these tests to find out what their skills levels are in certain areas of our products and background technologies.
We do a very similar approach when it comes to certification. Depending on the product, it's more like a confirmation for attending that course. Some regions actually ask for tests, some regions do not prefer tests, so that we can kind of customize it a little bit to where we are doing our courses. But for example, if you're in the service trainings, you need to have that certified. You need a certificate to purchase certain parts. So it's different kind of way of certification.
Okay, thanks. So all of you make products, and it's very important that people can use those products and support those products and maintain those products. And you've just told me that all of you run training operations to help people do that. What percentage of your training would you put as not directly product related, but fundamental to how everything works or how everything needs to operate? How much isn't just very product specific, would you say?
I'd say the majority of training that we offer is based around our products, but within our courses we cover some of the underlying technologies and concepts which are important to understand how AVID is working. So for example, in some of our engineering courses we'll cover Linux, just enough not to be too dangerous, but enough to for the engineer to understand how AVID is leveraging the operating system and what's important from an AVID perspective. The other example is IT networking. For our engineers setting up storage networks, it's important they understand IT and switches, and we cover some of the basics within that course. But fundamentally, the majority of our training is based around our own products.
Right. And Paul, Sony training.
Yeah, think about it in terms of a percentage. I'm sort of whirring numbers in my head.
Yeah.
Probably about a 70-30 split, I would say. 70% strongly allied to our products, and a 30% is really just background technology. One of the most successful courses that we've been running over the years is our Broadcast Fundamentals course, which is always being asked for again and again and again, because it goes right back to the beginning and goes right through the whole history of broadcast and covers an awful lot of the strange things that we now do in television and broadcast people still sometimes don't understand. And some of the new stuff, the IP technologies, and some of the technologies for Ultra HD and 2020 color spaces, and high dynamic range, that sort of thing. That background technology is very common across the industry. But for a lot of it, it is related in some way to our products, one way or another.
Yeah, thanks. And Ari, HDR and different color spaces.
I would say the percentage is, depending on the course, a bit varying. And if we talk camera training, for example, we're working with working professionals as trainers. So I've been working as a freelancer for 23 years before I joined that training part, and we know us from there, Paul, right? So a certain amount of the training is supposed to talk to working professionals with the working professionals. So there is some not necessarily product-related stuff in it. Of course, when it comes to service or maintaining products, that's a different level, and that's very focused on one product to maintain or service a product. But we also do like a color science training, which is a very universal topic, and I would say we probably do have like 40% product related, 60% really general information. HDR is also not product related necessarily.
Yeah, thanks very much. And you should all be proud of your products. Everyone in this business has heard of them. So IABM's training operation tries not to teach any particular product, but just deal with the fundamentals that all of us need to make work. Going beyond the technical to marketing and sales, that's all part of making business work nowadays. Change is a constant in the broadcast industry. We were talking about it just before we put the microphones on. Where do you think the biggest skills shortages lie? And what's the area with the biggest need for training, really, in your experience?
Shall I start?
Yes.
This is something we do talk to our ACA quite often, the AVID Customer Association. It's the way we get formal feedback, structured feedback from our customers.
Yeah.
I run a services council for education, and we look at topics related to, my new initiatives, our future direction and strategy, and then we take their input and figure out the priority in what we need to do going forward. And skills gap is one of those things we're getting feedback on. The resounding feedback really is in two areas. One, IT people need to know more about broadcast technology. Traditional broadcast engineers need to know more about IT technology. So we've addressed some of that. We've seen more and more IT people coming through our broadcast engineering courses. So we've addressed some of that gaps with some e-learning, as a prerequisite for some of those broadcast skills. But talking about change, I think, one of the things that's constant with change is technology. And I think we're always going to be chasing that gap, either in the short term or maybe even forever. One of Avid's recent announcements with Microsoft and the Azure clouds, has the entire Avid solution moving into the cloud. And I think that takes the skills needed from the IT world, into a different level. We need to bring those skills into our industry.
So, Paul, have you seen any similarities, any different areas that need to be addressed?
In skills gaps, I'm still running the Broadcast Fundamentals course, 20 years after I first designed it, and me and my colleagues are still running it for broadcasters and people working in the AV media community. But I think where the biggest skills gaps are now lying is in the new technologies, and I agree with you totally. The move towards IP is presenting some real challenges for a lot of people in the broadcast industry. What we're really looking for are people who are kind of blended, kind of hybrid between broadcast and IP. And we're struggling to train those people working in traditional broadcast, all those bits about IP. And at the same time, we've got people coming from the IP community, from the IT side, that we're trying to teach broadcast. And I'm tending to find, in my own experience, that it's easier to train somebody from the broadcast world about IP than it is to train somebody from the IT world about broadcast. It may be something to do with the fact that it's easier to find information on IP and IT than it is to find really good information on broadcast. But I think for things like Ultra HD 2020, high dynamic range, and also for IP, that's where I think an awful lot of the skills gaps need to be filled, are coming up in a lot of our training.
And Florian, you work for the newest training setup, I think, here. Have you seen any particular skills gaps? What's sort of the areas in greatest demand in your experience?
Well, we have, I think there's two answers. One, I think there are regional differences. So the experience from 1.5 years of training that I have now with ARI is that there's quite different approaches to more or less the same thing in different regions. So we really try to have local partners that can help us addressing the trainings to each individual group of people attending. So that's one answer. The second answer is, I mean, our company just turned 100 years, so we have a wide range of users, our user base. We have people still able to tell a story about the first film cameras that they bought, up to now the latest workflows that we are offering with the digital technology. So, of course, we are not in the stage of explaining a digital camera from scratch, even though we like to repeat things in almost any course, and that's what you mentioned with fundamentals. That's always a little part of our training, and then we try to listen to the customer needs. So we kind of customize it a little bit in every region we go.
Yeah, thanks very much. And IABM has done an international survey of skills and training needs as viewed by people working in the business, largely themselves. It was called The Score, and you can pick up some of the results from our website. But it does show, as Paul said, that a diversity of different needs across the world. Yeah, we're in different places. The technology's the same, but it's moving at different paces in different places. So worth looking at, and it's always worth listening to customers and people who come on our courses, isn't it? Okay, talking about the way the world's connected, how do you think people like to receive their training? It strikes me there are more opportunities for different ways to learn now. I'm really thinking about learning via internet platforms, face-to-face courses that we all run, and everything in between. Florian, has ARI moved in that area? How do you find?
We haven't yet.
Yeah.
We do have a clear plan to also enhance e-learning in this manner. So far, we are focused on getting some customized trainings, really personal face-to-face training. Most of the time, since we are kind of a small company, really like to be close to our customers, as close as possible. But of course, that has changed. We can't reach every region in the world, so e-learning is something we're working on. But so far we don't have it ready yet, so it's about to come.
Paul?
I don't think we can ignore the influence of the internet, and I think in certain circles there's a perception that you can learn almost anything you want by going onto YouTube or Vimeo or whatever, and I think it has its place, and I think for quick tutorials, how to do a particular thing, for instance, then very good. We've built over the last few years what we call our knowledge portal, where we host quite a lot of e-learning courses now, and we've gone through a bit of a learning curve to understand what our customers want out of e-learning, but that doesn't really replace the traditional face-to-face training courses, which we still run, and when we run them, they are still very, very valuable. And I agree completely with Florian. I think that there are certain types of training which cannot be replaced by anything online. You have to get your hands dirty and actually get into the equipment itself and mess around with it to see exactly how to use it properly and get the best from it.
And Jason, you've already referred to.
Yeah, I mean, from an Avid
Yeah.
perspective, it's something I've challenged my team with recently, thinking about, how does learning change in the next 5 years? We are seeing significant change, not only from the way people learn, but also I think the expectation from the learners. And that has a direct influence in our strategy in, right the way back to how we create content through to how we deliver it. We're finding customers are looking for more flexible, more cost-effective ways of getting their staff trained, and we know access to information has significantly changed over the last few years. The continuing pressure on staff and resources and time, so people don't get time to take classes in a formal way, and I think there's more and more pressure on us to provide learning just in time. When people need it on at any time and possibly on any device. So this is definitely working into our thinking. The other thing we're looking at is the model of learning in the workplace, the 70-20-10 model. Not sure if you're aware of that.
Yes.
So 10% is formal, which Avid plays very strongly in. The other 90% is informal learning, and I think Avid, in our strategy, we're looking at ways of modularizing our content, making it more digestible, shorter, so that we can play into the informal way of learning much more successfully, providing different ways of learning.
Yeah. Thanks very much. And my last question then, perhaps that 70-20-10 model is something to think about. How do you learn yourself? If not, I'm not perhaps asking about you personally, but the experts in your companies who design products, write software, design marketing campaigns, market your products. How do your companies provide for the needs of the staff in those products who are making in the company and making the next generation of stuff?
Yeah, I think for Avid a few different ways. Our engineers are always going out for technology courses with Microsoft, with Cisco, gaining certifications. I think our product management team spend a lot of time with customers, learning about their needs, the gaps in the solutions, changes in workflow and technology. We've also got internal SMEs that do internal training. So we've got experts on cloud and networking who are providing and cascading training internally within Avid. So, I think the internal training is a significant part of that.
Yeah, thanks very much. And Paul, Sony has some excellent technical staff and marketing staff. Where do you find those skills? How do you generate those
Heavens
skills?
knows, I don't know. No, there is a path through from Japan for the product-based information, and that's well established through the training department. And I'm constantly running internal webinars and training courses for our own staff. So that route is well established. I'm very lucky because I'm in close contact with some of the people in Sony who are sitting on all the standards authorities and the boards and that. So I'm able to pick up information about what's happening with the standards, and that to a certain extent governs the behaviour of the industry as a whole, because the new technologies come through the standards and so on and so forth. We're also able to pick up on what our customers are looking at. We do training needs analysis programs on some of our customers, find out what their training requirements are, and that can often steer, if you like, what training we do internally to train our own people. So it's a number of different routes, through standards, through from Japan, and just looking at the community as a whole.
And Florian, you have occupy an enviable position in the industry of producing some wonderful products. How do you build up ARI's expertise in that area?
Well, one thing is we're luckily small enough that you kind of walk across the courtyard and then you meet someone you just want to ask a question to help you out of maybe a tricky situation. So that's one big advantage. Most of the developers are based in the headquarters, but also we are very well networked to our subsidiaries, and we also travel, or me at least, I'm traveling a lot, so that's a good thing on a smaller company, that you know most of the experts after quite a while, and they support us very well. The other hand is I'm in the lucky situation that I'm doing some kind of real-world tasks, at least from time to time. So I try to stick to the production world. So I'm trying to leave from time to time from my desk and the trainings to just talk to the people and work on location or support people to keep my knowledge of the real world outside more or less fresh.
Yes.
And I hope that's the resource of some knowledge as well.
Yeah, meeting people. People, I think, learn naturally from using all the opportunities we can give them, and that's what we try and do. And IABM is here to help its members do business and learn to do better business. So we listen a lot to our end user councils and our members at trade shows to help all of us learn to do the best we can to face in the future.
Let me maybe add one thing.
Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of having partners. I mean, for example, software partners like Abbott. We have a very Sony. We're working together with you guys as well, and this is how the real world looks like. You might have one major topic of interest that is covered by one of the companies, but we really have a really good relationship with partners that support us hardware, software, training-wise as well. So
Yeah, we've seen so much work, I think, on partnering to produce better results for customers. The IP showcase here showing how all that technology works together across a huge range of vendors perhaps is an example of that. So thanks very much for coming along, for sharing your views and telling us a bit about the training operations. Never stop learning, I think. This is
that's it.
that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.